Hi everyone, welcome back to Tuesday Night Live and Living Soulfully 2020. I don't know how your week's been, but mine has been really, really interesting, and lots has happened in that time, as it is when we're on our soulful journey. The last couple of weeks we've talked about Change, Heal, Grow, and one of the things I wanted to reiterate to you about Change, Heal, Grow is that they don't happen consecutively, is that you don't get change and then you heal, and then you grow. They're an odd trio, and they like kind of messing it up a little bit. So you might just get the call to change, and something changes, and you might grow a little bit. You kind of go, "Oh, I've grown. That's good." Grow in your thinking and your consciousness, expanding, or in your awareness, and somehow, and then you might go back a little bit and go, "Oh, it doesn't feel quite so good," because there's something in there that you needed to heal, and you need to go and have a look at that. And then that can prompt you to grow a little more, or it can prompt you to change something. One of the things that comes to mind from my personal experience is that when we change, or we heal something, or we grow a little bit, we often meet with resistance from around us, perhaps people who we are closest to, family, friends, co-workers, whatever, and that feels uncomfortable, and so we're often inclined to go, oh no, I don't really like this. I think I'll just kind of shrink back down again into my little space, and I won't do this. I'll go back to where I was before. But of course we can't really go back to where we were before, because something's changed and we've grown a little bit. We will always feel uncomfortable going back into that place. We'll never quite fit. It's like trying to get toothpaste back in the tube, if that makes any sense to you. So let's go back to this trio of Change, Heal, Grow. And the healing process is really important in the sense of what you use to heal. Forgiveness is a really, really important one. Forgiveness is about forgiving yourself, most importantly, for not knowing better, or being smarter, or being fatter, or being thinner, or being taller, or being shorter, or being born at a different time, or wish you'd kept your mouth shut, or you wished you'd opened your mouth, or whatever it is that you have to forgive yourself for, or not saying yes when you meant no, or no when you meant yes, or trying to people please all the time. Those are my things. Whatever it is for you that you need to forgive yourself for. And so going into that process of healing means that, well, for me, it's been about seeing the bigger picture. It's about considering that I'm part of something much greater and a bigger story than I can see. For those of you who don't know what I do or what I've done, is that I had an OBE in 1988, an out-of-body experience, and it changed my life. It completely changed my life. I went to bed one night and I went out of my body, and when I came back in, I felt like a different person. And I trotted off to the doctor the next day to get a logical explanation for what happened, to be told by the doctor and his wife that I had actually had an out-of-body experience, and that I should read Shirley MacLaine's book, Out on a Limb. And I think the interesting thing about that was, with hindsight, it was like I went out of my body and out on a limb, because from that day onwards, things started happening to me that I couldn't do before. I didn't know before. I knew all the stuff that I didn't know. I had nothing really to do with anything spiritual or psychic or life after death or OBEs or anything before that fateful night. And what I learnt from 1988 to now is that I'm part of something much, much bigger. Don't get me wrong, I struggle with that most of the time, because my head wants to fit in. My head wants to belong here. I want everything to be straightforward. I want to be one of those people who can just get up and go to work and live my life and everything's straightforward and it's all lovely, but I'm not one of those people. And I realized that from the time I arrived here, I have never been like that. I've never fitted in. I was not meant to be a 9 to 5 or someone who just conformed to everything. In fact, completely the opposite. So every time I try to conform, I just feel squeezed and unhappy and lost. And then I have to sort of start talking to myself and going, you're not meant to be doing that. You're meant to be doing what you're doing right now. So one of the other things about Change, Heal, Grow is in this process, you have to develop an open-mindedness and open-heartedness. What we want to do when we get hurt is we want to shut ourselves down and pull ourselves backwards and build, barriers around ourselves so that we don't get hurt anymore. I said it last week, I think, I'm never doing that again. I'm never going to talk to that person again. I'm never going to be that, be there again or have that again or whatever, which is actually completely the opposite to what we need to do. We need to remain open-hearted and open-minded. And when we were children, we were both. We were free of all the constraints of adults and all the adult world that was around us. We believed in things. We never thought that things weren't possible. Hi, Laws, how are you? Hi, Sam, how are you? We never thought that things couldn't happen, and I'll give you an example of that, about being open-minded and open-hearted about it as a child. I always loved television. I was a great TV addict as a child in the 60s, and I spent a lot of time watching TV because my parents were very busy doing something else. But I just loved it. I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to be a TV star, an actress. And I wanted to go to Hollywood, and I wanted to do all those things. And I used to get these little TV weeklies that would come every week, and I was excited to get them. And so I used to read them from cover to cover, and on the back of each one would be a biography of an actress. And there was an actress that I absolutely loved. And I wanted to know how she got to be an actress. So I sent her a letter from little old Nelson Creek on the West Coast in the back of Beyond all the way to Hollywood in the 60s. Her name was Lee Taylor Young, and I thought she was beautiful, and I thought she was beautiful, and I wanted to be like her. And then I sent it off, and never doubting for one moment that she would get my letter and that I would get a response. Well, a long time passed until I got a reply, and I didn't just get a reply. I got this big envelope, and in it were these beautiful pictures of her and Ryan O'Neal, the actor Ryan O'Neal, because she was married to him at the time, and this handwritten letter by him. And it was handwritten, and you could tell he's a left-hander, and you could tell it was a left-hander's handwriting. And he wrote this letter and told me what to do about, joining, reading plays and joining a theatre company and being part of that. And I was like, what's that? I had no idea what that was, living in the back blocks of the West Coast. And then sometime later, we got taken to Greymouth to go and see the local operatic society doing their theatrical production. And I was like, wow, look at this. The excitement, the buzz, the orchestra striking up, the curtains opening, and what was behind those curtains, scene after scene after scene, and the singing and the dancing. And yeah, lefties are awesome, Luz, and guten Tag, Sam. And so, yeah, it was like I just felt at home. But there was nothing. There was a few school plays that we did, but there was nothing like that. It wasn't until I was about 18 or 19 that I actually got invited to go and be part of my first musical theatre production, which was Oklahoma, in our local theatre company, and I just felt at home. What has this got to do with Change, Heal, Grow? It's got to do with the fact that when, as a child, my open-heartedness and my open-mindedness and my willingness to not put these restraints around myself led me to follow that part of myself that was really strong, that was telling me that that's what I wanted to do. I went on to take couple of leads in shows, and then I went on to direct and produce and choreograph having never done a dance lesson in my life, for 20 plus years after that. And loved every minute of it. And I was right at home there. It just came naturally to me. I don't do that anymore. I do this, and I also work in the funeral industry. But the point is that when we shut down, when we close off because we've been hurt or let down or whatever, is that we're actually really, really hurting ourselves. We're shutting ourselves away from that part of ourselves that is trying to tell us what we need to do. We need to listen to that more and more and more. If we're creative, and I'm an artistic, creative person, and I'm introverted, but I'm also out there as well. I'm not adverse to doing what I'm doing right now, but I'm also a very private person. So finding the balance is really important. And I really want to do creative things, creative processes. And this, for me, doing this is creative. I really enjoy this. I'm scared before I get here, and I'm kind of like, what am I going to do? How's this going to work for me? But I'm doing it. I'm showing up. You need to show up in your own life, even though you're hurt, even though you're scared, even though you don't know what to do. You need to show up every day, regardless. And that's really important too. And there have been times when I just didn't want to show up. I didn't want to get out of bed, and I didn't want to leave the house, but I've done it. And I'm glad I have, because there are things that have happened in those days that I never expected would happen, that have shown me that there is something much greater than me going on and my little world going on in this great big world out there. When you're in that process of wanting to grow and you think, I don't know what to do and I don't know how to do this, do this, okay? When it gets dark tonight, or if it's dark where you are right now, go and stand outside and look up. And one of the things that you need to keep in mind is this, that we're all clinging to this ball in space. And that this invisible force called gravity, or that's the name we give it, is actually holding us here. And if for some reason that stopped being, we'd all just float off into space and there'd be all these weird things hanging around in space and terrible things would happen. So something greater than ourselves that we can't see is actually operating here. And if you look out into the sky and you look up at all those billions of stars up there, you'll see that there is something much greater than this little Earth, this ball in space going on. So why would there not be in each of our lives? Why would we not be part of something bigger on a much more grander scale, even though we can't see it, if it's right in front of our eyes every time we step outside and look up? I follow a spiritual path, not a religious path. I'm not affiliated to any religion or any belief system, but I follow a spiritual path in the sense that, you know, I'm here by choice. I'm here because I knew what I was coming to. I'm here because I signed up. And I touched on that briefly in one of the other talks about, you know, incarnating into a home where there was a lot of violence and anger and fear and so on. Why would I have done that? Why would I knowingly have done that? I never felt sorry for myself or thought that, you know, poor me. I just wondered what that was about. And when, after I had my OBE and I started to discover more about reincarnation and about past lives and about the soul's journey, and the words "remember who you are" were given to me very early on after that 1988 experience. It was like, gosh, perhaps this is not bad. Perhaps this is something I'm meant to be part of. Perhaps I signed up for this. Perhaps these people that were part of my family, my tribe, were people I was meant to be with. And the more I researched and the more I looked into it and the more I lived through that, the more I began to understand how that was true. And then I developed a process called Light Path Journey Therapy, and it is a very deep meditational process that I and other therapists I've trained guide you into, and you have the experience. So it's not hypnotherapy, it is a deep meditative process, and they guide you into that so that you can experience yourself as a soul, experience lives that you have lived, not just here on earth, but in other places. And I know if this is too far-fetched for you, just hang in there. And also they can experience their relationships with people. Most often they want to experience relationships with people that they have adversity with to try and understand what that's about. And it's never what you think it is. It's always something else, or a fear, perhaps, a fear of something, or a place, or food, I had one lady that was frightened of walking over slatted wood. I won't go into what that was about, but she was. And what we found in there when she went in was just profound and made perfect sense. So the Change, Heal, Grow is about us realizing that what we're going through, whatever it is for our own good. We need to go through this. We need to experience the discomfort. We need to rub up against things in order to give us the lessons, the learning, so that we can grow. Grow in what? What does growing mean? Growing to me means in my awareness, in my consciousness. What does that mean? It means that I can see life as the bigger picture of life. I can see it from many sides of the coin. Like, I could see perhaps from another person's perspective. I can see it from my own perspective. That's really annoying when you're trying to have an argument and you can see the other person's perspective and you really want to be right, but you know that they are too, so that no one's right and no one's wrong. That's tough. It's a tough place to be, but it's a good place to be. That we're not stuck in one train of thinking and that's the only way it can be done. There are lots of other ways to be able to do things. And I made some notes here, and one of the things I wrote down was that, you see how far we've come and how quickly we're changing. It's because, there's still a group called the Flat Earth Society, bless them. But in, eons ago, people thought that if you sailed to the horizon, you would fall off because the earth was flat. And it took brave souls to realize that that wasn't true. Or maybe it was, and they were prepared to risk falling off the edge of the earth to see if that was true or what was beyond that. Imagine their delight and their awe when they reached what they thought was the horizon to find that there was another one and another one and another one and another one. And then they realized there was land beyond their horizon that had never been discovered before. And that's what the spiritual journey is about. It's like, if you get caught in a particular belief system and you think that's it, or you get stuck in your own ideas or your own thinking for too much and not try and look outside the square and look at different points of view, you are the equivalent of the flat earther. And you need to keep pushing those horizons out, traveling to the edge of the horizon to find that there isn't one. There is no such thing as a horizon because we live in a ball in space. It's round. Imagine discovering that the earth was a ball in space. Imagine that. And then realizing there's nothing around the outside of it. What an awakening that must have been for us. John said something to me the other day. He was talking about, I can't remember what it was. We were talking about, he might remind me, we were talking about why do we do this? Why do we come here and incarnate and have these experiences? Why do we do that? Why would we not just stay where we were? Is that what it was, Tia? Mm. Yeah. Why would we do that? And I said, well, it's like, why would we not just stay in spirit and watch it all go on? And I said, well, it's a bit like the guys going to space, wasn't it? And going to the moon. They are like those people who sailed out into the ocean, and how they were changed forever by having that experience. But so were we by watching them. We were changed. We didn't have to go to space to actually experience the feeling of awe and amazement and wonder. We were able to stay here in our safety of our lounge and watch it on our TV, but nevertheless we were transported. Going back to the talking about being an artist and a creator and thinking outside the square, is that when we do this, when we allow ourselves the grace and the joy and the about going outside the norm and changing something, we change it for everybody else as well, just like those men who went to the moon. If we all stayed in our little square and never did anything, how would we ever grow and expand? So change, heal, grow. Change a bit, grow a bit, heal a bit, change a bit more, grow a bit more, heal. Do what you need to do. Be brave enough to sail out beyond that horizon of where you are and check it out, because that's where the greatness starts. That's where the good stuff is. And if you think that you can't do something, then you won't. If you think that you can't do it, think of all the times that you have done that without thinking. Like that little girl back there on the West Coast who just wanted to know how to be an actress. She didn't think that because she lived a few thousand miles away in a little backwater of New Zealand, that couldn't happen. She just wanted to do that. So I didn't get to Hollywood, and I didn't get to be an actress, because actually I have enough trouble being myself without trying to be someone else. But I became a director and a writer and a choreographer, and I created some great events that brought a lot of joy to a lot of people, changed their lives, but changed mine too. And so I followed her lead and her belief that she just loved and wanted to do that so much. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I've come and gone from this process of speaking out about what I think and how I feel, fear of being judged, thinking, why would anyone want to listen to what I have to say? What do I have to offer? I have no voice in all of this. It's all been said and done. But all the while, inside of me has been this voice that's going, that's not true, Owen. Come on, step out. Be like that little girl again. You remember her? Yeah, I do. Come on, go do that. Go follow that little girl. She knows where to go. She's not fearful. And I have. So here I am. I'm beginning to step out. And there are going to be times when I'm going to want to run away and hide and put my head under the covers. And people will say things and disagree and perhaps be unkind or whatever. And I'll have to deal with that, But mostly it's not about me. It's about the work. If you can understand that we are all here to do something really important. We're not all here to land on the moon, to be men landing on the moon, or perhaps discover a new vaccine to cure a disease. Perhaps we are, perhaps we're not. But we are here to really live our best life, to shine brightly, to listen to that inner self. If you've heard things throughout your life from people that you're not good enough, or you're not bright enough, or you're not this, or you're not that, or you shouldn't be doing this, or you shouldn't be doing that, that's about them. It's not about you, okay? It's not about you. It's about them. Don't listen to that. Don't listen to those people. That's their fear. That's not yours. Listen to yourself. Listen to that inner voice. Listen to that unencumbered part of yourself. I think, I look at, it's very topical, so let's just talk about this. I look at Harry and Meghan. Oh my God, have they caused a furore around the world? They have gone, I'm done. We're not doing this anymore. Harry has stood up for his wife. That's my view of it anyway. Harry stood up for himself and his wife, and he's gone, we have to get out of here. And everyone's going, oh, they're all going to fail. The sky is going to fall. They're never going to make it. Yeah, well, maybe they will. Maybe they won't. But what he's done is incredibly brave. And he's going to lose all these things. He's going to lose his title, and he's going to lose money, and he's going to lose... Gosh, I mean, really? How important is that in the bigger picture of him wanting to look after his wife and child, and him wanting to have a happy life? And I look at how the royals live, and I think, God, I couldn't live like that. I just couldn't live like that. And obviously they can't either. And like I said before, when we choose growth and we choose to change and we choose to go through the healing process, there are going to be people, or if you stand up and go, I want to be this, I want to be a musician, I want to be a natural healer, I want to go and work and help people. I'm talking about people here, I can see here. I want to do natural therapies. I want to go and help with people who are dying, all those kinds of things. If you are thinking that you want to do those things, if you have a feeling that you want to go and do that, then go do it. Follow that path. That is so important. Don't stop. I want to make movies. I want to write a book. I want to be a public speaker. I want to be an electrician. I want to be whatever. Follow the path, because it's not about succeeding and it's not about failing. I'm 61 last Christmas. And I'll share this with you, that my fear throughout my life of doing things was that I felt too old at 20, so I didn't. I felt too old at 30, so I didn't. And I looked back and realized how young I was at 20 and how much of my life I had wasted worrying that I wasn't good enough, or I didn't. I felt too old at 40, and when I look back and realized that 30 and 20 I was a spring chicken and I could have done things then. I look back at 50 and think, oh my God, I was 40, 30, 20, and I had so much time and I didn't do it then. And then I reached 60 and 61 and go, stop looking back. Don't you do that to yourself anymore. Don't worry about it. Just do it now. And that's real. You are never too old to change, to heal, and to grow. You're never too old, ever, to change your life. And you're never too old to pursue your dreams. I never want to climb Everest. I was never going to do that, but I might do it in another way. All right? I don't want to be a scuba diver. I don't want to do any of those things. But I want to know within myself that I'm worthy of doing them, that I'm courageous enough to step up and do this work that's so important so that I can help other people. And mostly I can help myself. So next week, we're going to continue this next week. And I would really like to continue Tuesday nights beyond here, because I'm really, really enjoying them. It's making me put my money where my mouth is. It's basically making me step up and go, come on, Owen, you've got things to say or things to share. But I also want to hear what other people have to say. I want to hear what you think. I want to know what you're doing. All right? I just want to know what you think and how you feel. And Laws, hi love, you gave me a list of things that you want us to talk about. So we're going to have those discussions, and we're going to keep going beyond next week, and we're going to keep talking. Send me comments, send them through Messenger, email me, whatever you need to do. Let's start having these conversations, because it's really important that we do, okay? All right? It's really important that we do, okay? And I know there are people who are going to disagree and think that I'm talking a load of old bollocks when it comes to reincarnation or whatever. Well, you're welcome to that point of view. Knock yourself out, no problem at all. But I'm here to tell you that I'm going to give you this, okay? What if I'm right? And what if you arrive back in this world sometime later, having left behind something that you could have fixed, and you're going to arrive back here? What if that's true? Gosh, I think that's a really important question to ask yourself. And the other one is, where were you before you were born? We always look at where do we go when we die? Where were you before you were born? You know, my dad used to say I was a twinkle in his eye, and I just think, well, that's nice, until I realised what he was actually talking about. And we, but, you know, yeah, where were we before we were born? Where were you? Were you nowhere? We always think about where we're going to go when we die, and there's a lot of talk about that. So I'm going to leave you now because it's 7:30 and we do half an hour, and I just want to thank you all. I want to leave you with this, all right? I'll remind you of the 8 graces again to help you change, heal, grow. First one's surrender, okay? The next one's acceptance, forgiveness, belief, gratitude, trust, love, and grace. If you get stuck on any one of those, go back to surrender. It's always kind of the place that you need to go back to. And each of those in their own way, they come as a troop, they come together as a team. You need all of them. And a bit like the change, heal, grow. So that's surrender, acceptance, forgiveness, belief, gratitude, trust, love, and grace. If you apply those to your journey, you will see the world in a whole different way. Don't forget your gratitude practices, all right? In the morning, pay into that gratitude bank, okay? I'm going to say goodbye for now. If anyone's got any questions, I'll do that quickly. Write them in the comments box below. Let's have a look. Who have we got? Recipes? Creech? Chicken nibbles? Oh, I'm feeling hungry. Anybody got anything they want to add? Because if you do, now's the time. Allow, accept, and appreciate. Yep, laws, that's good. Add those too. Add those positive things: acceptance, allowance, and appreciation and gratitude. All right, good for you. All right, folks, I'm going to leave you to it. Thank you so much. It's been absolutely lovely to be here, and keep shining brightly. Now, also got a new YouTube channel, and this is going to go up on YouTube straight after we're finished. John, and Podbean, John also takes the audio out of it and he puts it up on Podbean so that you can listen to this as well, as opposed to having to watch it. So we've got lots of places now that you can go and listen and watch and take part. So yeah, thanks for joining. We're absolutely delighted to have you here. Anyone who has done a light path journey knows the healing power of it, and reincarnation can't be denied. Yes, Gail, that's right. Hello. Just before I go, Gail and I had my friend Gail Roll, she's also a light path journey therapist, and her and I had a wonderful day today. We did some great chakra work, but I'll talk to you about that another time. So it was wonderful. Hi, Gail. Hi, everyone, and bye, everyone. Go well.